Yep. Ding, ding, let's go. So this concept of story, it plays in so many layers of our lives. And the fact that we have dreams at night, and daydreams too, right? Just these fleeting visions, these fleeting sort of playouts of potential futures, of the past, in memories, right? And the kindergartners are learning the dynamics of stories. It's wild to see that at 5-6 years old, children, young people, are learning the mechanics, and even before, but just on an academic, on a more cohesive level, children are learning about the aspects, the characters, the setting, the problem, the solution, and of course, in any given story, there doesn't need to be a problem and a solution, but we could certainly argue that it makes a good story, right? Because you can have something like a documentary where different things are happening and there's no essential problem per se, but there are rising and falling actions. There are things that are going on where shifts are made, differences are made, and things are newer and changed and different. So this plays out in our lives in so many different ways. And I know I've discussed in at least one other video that there's benefit to catering to these stories. There's benefit in having no story and just being as plain Jane objective as possible. Life is life, being life. You are living and being lived, and that's that. But even that has story elements, because we have where we are, and then we can have a vision for our future where we want to be. And then we have the memories in our past where we were and where we are, and things are shifted, things are changed, things are transcended, things are more at peace, less at peace, more balanced, less balanced. And in our reflections, like I and many people talk about in meditation, contemplation, in journaling, and you can call that having like a diary and things like that, where you're writing down things that happened, you're writing down ideas that you have, and that you can look back on it, and ideas that you've had, where you were and where you are. There's just a chain of events, like a story. And in this video, I am putting forth the assertion that it is a story, that life and its many layers each has a story. Now, you may have already heard of the psychology of storytelling, whether it be through Joseph Campbell, Carl Jung, or just immersion in topics like the subconscious, the unconscious, the collective unconscious, and things like that, where things are happening on a wider scale. And you're a character in the story. But what I'm really getting at here is as the individual, as the you, as the I. Our story. So, at the time of filming this, I'm considering making the YouTube channel name Mystery Mechanic, because what I love doing is seeing where I was, seeing where I am, seeing where I can be, and enhancing my story all along the way. Now let's get to the meat. Let's get to meat and potatoes of this video, which, yeah, arguably, you could say, well, if you really want to capture my attention, you should really give me the meat and potatoes, the real core of it, within the first 30 seconds. That's what, content creators that create content about how to create content, very meta, very specific, which, cool beans, to each their own. But I want to help you, as I'm helping myself, see the layers of the I, see where we can enhance our lives on the level, at the angle of immersion of our story. What we're doing, what we've been doing, what we can do. All for clarification, all for enhancement, expansion, synonymous, and doing it in an efficient way, because once we're really understanding our story and the stories that are coming to us, right? There's the intention, and then there's the listening, the trust. There's the action, the yang, the putting forth, the intention, the making things happen, and then there's the yin of just being, things coming to us. And then we can go forth with the yang of doing something about it, right? That's one of the main stories right there. Life is life. You are you. I am I. Let's look into it and see what we're gonna do about it. So, I just love dreams. Dreams are so important. Dreams are so sacred in that sense. And we can be totally secular about it. Non-denominational, non-religious about it. And just seeing the reality of it, the soul science of it all. Where I had a dream, and dreams, at least for me, are most potent when it's like the last dream before I wake up for the day, where it's like, and naturally we can wake up in the middle of the night and then go back to sleep and then wake up again and be like, whether look at the clock or just know, if the sun's coming out or whatever, okay, sleeping is done, time to go. So usually for me, it's that moment, that dream, that last dream before sleeping is done. And not just last night's dream, but just like all dreams that are vivid and that I'm able to recall in a full sense. It tells a deep and connected and cohesive and accurate and effective story. Where, the story, I'll just keep it simple for the sake of impact and for the sake of this storytelling, of the importance of storytelling, where it's like, I'm going in for a job. This guy is not very collected. He's living in this small, it's like townhouses, but they're really small. They're like town sheds. Where it's just this one little room, a bed, table, kitchen, small little thing. So I walk in there, it's just I see that from the get-go. The guy's not very collected. He's very bouncing back and forth, manic, ADHD. I can relate. And in senses, I'm sure you can relate, where it's just bouncing back and forth, a little spastic, but heart in the right place. Has a daughter, and in the dream it was a girl that I knew from the school that I work at. So it was those connections are made, the feeling and the actions, the setting and the character, personalities, they all track. And then it's like, look, I'm here to do a job. And then, like, we're bouncing back and forth. He's, you know, like, not really with it. He's not telling me, like, the job that needs to get done. Or I know the job that needs to get done, but he's not, like, directing me. And fair enough, I'm not directing him. So plenty to learn for the individual, the I, who's experiencing the dream. That's honestly the point. Like, he's bouncing back and forth. The next thing I know, like, the shed cabin turns into us driving. He's in the driver's seat, like, we're just, like, in the passenger seat. And, you know, there are other people there. Like, my brother's there, and then, like, another woman is there. And we're all, like, trying to figure it all out, like, where's he going? What's he doing? And then at a certain point, I'm out of the car, he's driving, and then I get back in the car, and then he goes to, like a parts store, like an Advanced Auto Parts. And then, like, I finally get to the point where I'm like, hey, can we talk? So what are we doing here? Like, what's our goal here? What do you need to buy something? Is this for the job? And then, like, he's all bashful and remorseful. He's like, oh, this is actually, like, my work. Like, I'm here going to work. And then I'm like, I'm here because I had a job that I have to do for you. So he's feeling remorseful because he's realizing it. He's coming to terms, which is, you know, like, a heartfelt thing. Cool. Like, that's fine. We'll reschedule for another day. That's fine. And then, like, I saw, you know, the girl, the daughter, and, you know, like, I'm wishing the best for her. And then I wake up and I'm just, like, collecting all of the moments, all of the feelings, all of the actions, the settings, the personalities. And it's amazing because I can take all of these story pieces and integrate them and use them in my life. And the real amazement is, and this is kind of the center point of this video, this story, is we're telling ourselves stories all the time. For better or for worse, we're the ones that get to figure that out. We're the ones that, if we choose to, if we have the patience to, if we have the knowledge of the fact that these stories are playing all the time and they can help us, right? We're beyond the better or worse. These stories are helping us because they're playing out in our being on the heart and soul level. They're playing out all the time. And they're usually coming forth in our thoughts and emotions, but even our recollections and our reactions, things that are happening in the external, our reflections and our interpretation of them is the story playing out. We would be wise to see that for what it is and to sit with them in more quiet and stimulus minimum moments, to see it and to be like, okay, I reacted this way, I interpreted it this way. Why? Okay, let's really, like, sink into that, right? SYNK, into it, because it's telling me something, telling you something. This is important. The stories are important. And we can go even deeper to say, like, the muscles, the fascia, the seemingly co-current and returning pains and aches in our body, how the mind and the body are connected, and in that sense, the pains and the aches that keep coming up, even after, you know, it could be from, you know, an injury, a significant moment in our lives, but it was healed, but these pains and aches and strains and tensions keep coming back. There are stories in those aches and pains that we would be wise in sitting with and having the interoception, proprioception moments where we're just paying attention to it. in those sense, in the interoception sense, in the proprioceptive sense, paying attention to it, sitting with it, what stories come up. So like I said, there are many stories in many layers of our being that come forth mentally, emotionally, physically. And this helps us on a heart and soul level. Right? The heart and soul is the core, and these layers are after that. And then the external is after that. And then the dreams are yet another layer. Telling stories, and we would be wise in listening to them and extracting all of the symbolic wealth and health and benefits for further clarification and expansion of our being at all levels. Woo! All right, I'm gonna head into work. Let's end the video with respects, as I like to do. Much respect to you, much respect to me, much respect to life and its many layers, and our willingness and ability to extract meaning and benefit from these stories. Much respect to the layers of life abroad, right? We have the layers within ourselves, and then we have the layers, we'll say, the physical and the metaphysical, where it's the metaphysical mechanics that are keeping all of this sustained, right? Like what's beating our heart, what's keeping the sun going, what's keeping the earth and its nature and its bountifulness going. Mad respect to all that, all the elements and the layers that are nourishing us from all angles, from all layers, from all dimensions. It's beautiful, it's awesome. Much respect. This is Mac 11. Catch you later.